You're listening to Outside the Locker Room with Mackenzie Pflum, a Hustled exclusive podcast.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, today we've got another Ashlin, Ohio native on Outside the Locker Room, a member of Ohio Northern University men's golf team, now in his junior season, a friend of mine, Aidan Chandler. I think it's fair to say that we're friends at this point, right?
I would think so. Yeah, we've done our time we've done our time. You know?
We've done our time together. Ashlin Golf Club, once again, shout out. How are you? How's school going right now? You're in your junior year, so I imagine you're getting into those classes that correlate with your major.
Yeah. So this has probably been the toughest year academically, just because I'm trying to make sure I've got my getting all those prerequisites done, because I'm trying to go to dental school. So I want to make sure that I have enough prerequisites done so when I go to apply for dental school that I can actually get accepted into those schools.
Yeah.
And some of the classes this semester are pretty tough, but we're chugging along.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, we're going to work backwards here a little bit. You're majoring in bio, so I can't imagine that's a walk in the park. So you do plan on going on furthering your education with dental school and stuff like that?
Yeah, that is the plan. Initially, when I came into college, I wanted to be an anesthesiologist.
Yeah.
And then after the first semester of school, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this for 12 years.
Yeah.
So I kind of backtracked a little bit. I still wanted to do something in the medical field, because I want to help people. That's my ultimate goal with work. And it was nice because it's something that if I did want to go back home, there's a strong foundation in Ashlin for dentistry.
Absolutely.
And a lot of opportunities. So I felt drawn to that career.
So like I said, you're majoring in bio, or at least you're going down the route of bio, going into furthering your education with dental. You're thinking that's what you're wanting to do. But you told me that you're going to be going to a Cavs game coming up, covering it for a radio station. What's going on there with reporting and stuff? That's awesome.
Yeah, so on the side, ever since COVID, a couple of my dad's friends do radio, and they wanted some help, and my dad didn't really want to get back into it. He did it for a long time, but didn't want to get back into it. So he's like, my son's interested. So I started doing that. I was covering Mansfield Senior. I was doing football games and basketball games during COVID. And one of the guys at the state, it's like a streaming station. It's not an actual radio station.
What's it called?
VSBN.
I feel like I've heard of it, maybe.
That stands for Varsity Sports Broadcasting Network. But over time, one of the guys was like, you know what? He used to work for WMFD, and they used to be able to do that stuff all the time. So he's like, why not try it with this station? And they went ahead and applied for media credentials to Browns games and stuff.
Yeah.
And they started to accept us. So I've done a few Browns games. I did a Cavs game last year, and it's just another thing.
That's awesome. You don't want to get into reporting full time though? Not something that interests you?
I'm not the kind of guy that ever closes any doors. I like to leave every opportunity open, just kind of where the Lord leads me. But I definitely think that it's a possibility, because obviously dental school's tough, and I believe that I can get through it, but it's always nice to have something to fall back on, and that's something that I'm trying to establish my roots in, just for that possibility.
Yeah, I was going to say, keep it in your back pocket, because you definitely, I feel have the personality, and you can talk to anybody and ask the good questions. So keep it in your back pocket. Definitely not the money maker dental will be. But speaking of Cleveland, I saw you were at the Yankees, a bunch of the Yankees game, and you're in the post-game interview in the back. And so I'm blaming you for the series loss, because I feel you were at every game when you brought the bad luck.
Well, actually, so the first game I went to was the game that they hit the walk-off.
Okay.
And so I was like, you know what, 1-0, I gotta go back. I gotta go back for the second game. And a good friend of mine, CJ Cox, got us tickets, and we sat right behind the Yankees dugout. And we were conversing with some of the Yankees players and coaches, so maybe we gave them a little bit of motivation. But no, I will not be taking all the credit for those losses.
You'll have to see if you can get a credential next year for Guardians games, because those are really fun to cover.
That would be really exciting and a lot cheaper than purchasing tickets.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Coming back to golf, though, I just want to talk about how you got into the sport a little bit, because I played softball with Kai, went to school with Owen, and if I, remember correctly, it wasn't necessarily, a family sport that you guys, were a golf family, like a lot of young kids grow up in.
Yeah, so my golf career started kind of late. Tyler, Sabo, and I started playing at the same time. We were both doing a lot of sports, and I didn't want to give up anything. So golf was something that was new that I enjoyed. That I was like, maybe this can work out, and I started to get serious about it. We both did that Brookside Junior Golf program together, so kind of established some roots in the game there. Played with my dad a lot, and then got to high school, and it came down to football and golf, and I was the quarterback. I split reps at quarterback in middle school, and it came down to are we doing golf or football? And I was like, well, a lot safer to play golf, and I enjoyed it more at the time, and that's kind of how I found golf. It was literally I remember that summer I was going to football workouts, I was going to golf stuff, and it was the week before, and my parents were you got to make a decision, and I picked golf, and
you're let's just flip a coin here. Let's just see what...
best of 7, tails 1.
Yeah. So. Well, growing up in Ashlin, personally, I feel it would be a great place if you're wanting to golf at a competitive level, because we have a couple courses. Obviously, have Dennis at Ashlin Golf Club. We've got a good team at the university to kind of follow along with people, and then obviously the superintendent, Steve Paramore, very good golfer. So from your perspective, how did just being in Ashlin, growing up, you worked at the course, etc., how did that help kind of grow your game?
So it all kind of starts with the tradition that our high school program carries, winning 2 state championships in the 1900s, of course with Steve Paramore, Chris Yoder, Kevin Priest, Bobby Castor, and John Locke. Those guys kind of laid the foundation for success of the sport in this area, and those guys were big mentors, especially Steve. I'm pretty close with Steve, so seeing how good those people were, and having the goals and aspirations to one day maybe be that successful in the game, but also too like you mentioned, the courses in the area, we're so fortunate. Some places don't even have one, and we have 2 courses, and Dennis and everyone at Ashlin Golf Club has just been so great to me. Tyler Sabo, Anna Watson, Max Watson, Camden Mowry, Ryan Frazee. There's so many I'm missing, but we've just been so fortunate to even establish our own little community of people that are all sort of around my age, and we've all pushed each other to try and be the best that we can be.
I saw your post on Instagram from back in 2019 where you'd mentioned something about being in the hospital. If you don't mind sharing, I guess, what happened there. And it sounds like it was kind of an obstacle that you had to overcome right before state.
Yeah, this is so crazy. So I've probably told this story a million times, but
well, I don't know it, so I haven't heard it.
It's so good that I know every detail. So this was my sophomore year of high school.
Okay.
First year on Varsity, I was the 4-man, and we had just qualified for state. And all year, we had no idea that was even possible. We won the conference. First year head coach and Dan Priest, we had no clue that was a possibility, and then it happened, and it was just, amazing. And you're running off this adrenaline high, and you're so excited because you just qualified for the biggest tournament in the state, and only 12 teams, 11 others get to do the same thing. So it was so exciting. And then I'm sitting in a golf cart. My dad was driving back to his car, and I was just going to throw my clubs in his car for him to take them home instead of putting them in the bus. And I felt this pain on the back of my leg, and I hadn't felt it all day as I was walking around the course, but I sat down and must have aggravated it and didn't know what it was. Get back home, mom checks it out. We go to pediatric consultants the next day, and they're trying to test for what what it is. Like, they have no idea. Like, they thought maybe it was just like a boil or something. Turns out it was an infection, and whatever my mom had put on it, like, to try and draw out whatever it was, had killed it, so they couldn't test to see what it actually was. They ran tests, but the results just, like, nothing came back. So they had no clue what this was. We thought we were leaning towards, like, a spider bite, so it kind of had, like, the signs and symptoms were pointing towards that, but we weren't sure. So they sent me to Akron Children's Hospital. I got surgery the second day I was there, like, woke up, got surgery, and got out of the hospital Wednesday. Went to practice that night, hadn't practiced golf for a week, and went to state Thursday morning. So wasn't the best showing, but, like, I faced a lot of adversity, and just to make it back to that tournament and be able to play was really cool, because I didn't know if I was going to get to play.
And that was your junior season, right?
Sophomore year.
Oh, it was sophomore. Okay.
So
well then moving on to your senior season, like, you got back to state. You guys went 6-0 in the conference, OCC champions, sectional champions, district champs, placed 8th at state. I guess, like, how awesome was that to have that success as a team for your final season at the high school? And I'm sure it was also a highlight in the midst of, like, COVID and everything. Like, high school was probably so weird at that point in time. So to have this kind of, like, high at that point in your high school career.
Yeah, so luckily for us, like, senior year kind of returned back to normal a little bit for us. Junior year was kind of the weird one. So we were fortunate. I mean, we were fortunate enough to go 3 straight years, which was just amazing. But junior year was the weird one. Senior year was the, I don't know, hard to rank them, but, like, senior year was, like, we lost 2 of our guys from the year before. Like, my junior year, we returned all 5 starters, so we kind of expected to go back. But my senior year, we lost 2 seniors, and we weren't really sure. Like, we knew it was a possibility, but weren't really sure about it. So that was probably, like, the most, like, satisfactory one to make it to that tournament. But junior year, balancing COVID and everything, a lot of people don't know this, but we actually, like, went online. Our whole starting 5, we went online because of the, like, scare of potentially being quarantined. Yeah. So we didn't want it to, like, it could have been, like, 2 nights before districts, and Camden Mowry gets quarantined and can't play in districts, and all of a sudden we're down to 4 people. So it was just, I mean, it was kind of a sacrifice we had to make, but it was definitely crazy, to say the least, like, balancing COVID and golf, and, like, the rules changed, and it was just different, but still cool to make it to the top again.
Did you guys, since it was an outdoor sport, did you guys have to wear masks outside during this point in time?
So we didn't have to play with masks on, but, like, in the bus we had to wear masks. Like, if we went in the clubhouse, we had to wear masks. That was, pretty standard COVID procedures. I, like, think back to that point in time, and I'm just like, I feel like it was a fever dream. Like, it doesn't even make it's so weird. But well, and like, the weirdest thing too is, like, one of probably the oddest rules that came out of this, and it wasn't everywhere. It was kind of like tournament by tournament, they were different. But, like, we played in one tournament, it was like, if you putted the ball and hit the flag stick, it didn't matter if the ball went in the hole. Like, if you hit the flag stick, it counted as going in, because they didn't want you, like, taking the flag stick out.
Interesting.
So, like, realistically,
I'm like, just get somebody with a glove and, like, have them, like, pull it out. I know. That's crazy.
So, like, you could have just hit it as hard as you want at the flag stick and said, I hit the flag stick, it went in. But, like, other tournaments, like, you'd have to use your towel to get the flag off. Like, it was wild.
That's crazy. Huh. I kind of talked to Tyler Sabo about that a little bit. And speaking of him, you mentioned him earlier about, like, golfing with him. I had him on the podcast, obviously a great golfer. But I like you better because you took the time out of your day to give me lessons at the club, like, fake lessons. But what was playing with him like and growing up around him? Because obviously now he's at OSU. He was on, like, the Big Ten players to watch. So do you have any good stories about the two of you or anything?
Well, Tyler's, like, my best friend. So we play golf all the time in the summers. We talk a lot. Like, we stay in good touch throughout the year, and, like, I follow. Like, his mom will send me updates throughout his rounds. Like, so I get to keep a pretty good tab on what's going on there. But yeah, there's some stories I can't share, but I think probably some of the coolest stories, I caddy for him, so I get to travel in the summers with the family and spend some time with them. And one of the coolest things ever was he made it to, like, I don't remember what year this was, but he made it, so to qualify for the US Open, like any average Joe can qualify for the US Open. There's like 2 stages to get to the US Open, and he made it to the final stage of qualifying. And this was like the day after the professional tournament in Columbus, the Memorial, had just finished. So like all these professionals that aren't qualified for the US Open are playing in this tournament. And like we see people, like we're warming up and we're seeing people that like we watch on TV all the time.
Like fanboying.
Yeah. I mean, it's surreal. And like you kind of like, you can't fanboy in a way because like you're like trying to stay focused on like what's like the task at hand. But like at the same time, it's just like surreal. Like it's you're playing against, like he's playing against me, and then he goes to this level and is playing against people like this. But the coolest thing ever was like we're playing. It was 36 holes that day, and like there was a rain delay, so it was a really long day. It's called the longest day in golf because it's absolutely brutal and it takes forever. But he beat Ricky Fowler on one of the 18s. I don't remember exactly what Ricky shot. I think Ricky shot like maybe a couple over and Tyler shot even or something like that. But Ricky Fowler is like one of the most popular American golfers in the game right now. So that was pretty neat.
That is awesome.
To experience that, yeah.
So if he ever makes it on the PGA, like you're his man, right? You're his caddy.
We've had some conversations about that, yeah. Yeah.
And and that's the plan?
Haven't signed the contract, but it is.
You need to get something in writing.
That's true. That's true.
That would be so fake of him though if he like went somewhere else. So I'm gonna hold him to. Well, if it doesn't happen, I'll heckle him enough to where he has to make you his caddy.
Yeah.
So in high school, I feel like you were involved in a lot sports, music department. I'm sure other things that I'm not mentioning that like I'm unaware of. So when it's time to figure out where you're going to further your education for college, why was it ONU, and was golfing something that was like on the forefront of your mind when choosing a school, or did those things just happen to like click together?
So I initially wanted to go to school for music. I auditioned for a couple of the top musical theater programs in the country. NYU and Indiana were kind of the biggest ones. And I got offered a school, like to go to school in New York City for musical theater, and it was a really good, enticing offer. But I kind of sat myself down with my parents, and I really was like, what do I want in my life? Like, what do I want? Like, when my family's growing up, like, I don't want to be hustling all the time for money. I kind of want something that's more stable, but also money's not everything. Like, I want my kids to grow up in a normal life. Like, it was a lot. It was a lot to consider if I would have made it to the top in that career. So ultimately I was like, okay, well, I'm not doing that. What am I going to do? My brother went to Ohio Northern, and he was friends with the golf coach's son, and he talked to him, and then the coach called me and offered me a spot. And I had a few other schools that I'd talked to about going to play golf, but with my brother's experience, I just knew that I wanted to come here.
That's awesome. I was looking kind of at the roster, and there are a couple local guys on the team. Evan went to Mapleton, Ty a freshman, but from Shelby. Did you know Evan prior to ONU? And I guess with Ty, did they kind of almost like use you as like a recruiting tool for him, since you're from like the Shelby, Mansfield, Ontario, Ashland area?
Yeah, so Evan I knew pretty well. With him going to Mapleton, like we split our practices in high school between Brookside and the golf club. So like we would see them out at Brookside a lot because that's where they did their practicing. So Evan I knew. Ty I actually didn't know. Like I followed him on Instagram when he committed here, but I was not really a part of that recruiting process with him.
Go ahead.
Yeah, with recruiting, I do typically spend time. Like we had a kid in from New Jersey a few weeks ago. I played golf with him and spent some time with him. So yeah, I do typically spend some time with recruits when they come in.
I was gonna say, I feel like you'd be a good guy that they'd pick out of the bunch to like kind of take the high schoolers under your wing to show them around and get them acclimated with like what the school's about. So I guess with the fall season wrapping up, now just preparing for the spring, for your junior season, what are you most looking forward to this year?
Well, I think the nice thing about having a fall and spring season is the fall kind of gives you an idea of where you are, like where your game is, and getting you ready for this spring, but also at the same time you have a lot of downtime to fine tune your game and like you know what to work on. So the fall really prepares you for that. And I did not have the fall that I was hoping for. I put some really good rounds together, but when it came to tournament golf, I just struggled. And I think last year I made a really big jump from the fall to the spring with my stroke average, and so I look to do sort of the same thing. And a notable thing about high school golf is we tracked every year how much we improved by in certain tournaments, and there's a tournament that we start the season with down in Tennessee that I did not participate too well in my freshman year, and we get the chance to go back there. So that's kind of my big motivator right now, is I want to improve on that tournament down there because it was pretty bad. And I think if I can start off the season well, obviously I'm in high spirits going into the rest of the spring stretch.
Is that tournament in Nashville by chance?
It does so happen to be in Nashville, yes.
We're gonna come back to that here in a minute,
yep.
But
we'll circle back.
But I guess your favorite memory so far, whether with school or things that you've gotten to do with the team, whether that's on the course or off so far at ONU.
So I think the nicest thing about playing a sport in college is you are just surrounded by people with a similar interest, and our interest so happens to be golf, and it's a thing that you go do and you play. It takes a substantial amount of time to play around a golf, so you spend a lot of time with these people, mm-hmm. and you get really close with them. So that's probably been my favorite memories, just on the golf course with all my friends. Specifically, we went down my freshman year, we went on a spring trip to Pinehurst, North Carolina, and spent some time down there, and that was probably one of the top memories. Other than that, we get a couple of us get together for Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, watch a lot of sports together. So just the camaraderie, really, with all the guys.
Well, one I was going to say, I feel like I totally messed up not playing golf, because you guys get to go to the most beautiful places, I feel with golf. Other sports you're not traveling like you do with golf, so I totally messed up not being involved with that. But secondly, we have to talk about this. So I got a DM from the Aidan Chandler Tracker. You want to tell me a little bit about this Instagram page?
Yeah,
what this is?
Yeah, so if you're listening, you definitely have to give the Aidan Chandler Tracker a look.
I just gave them a follow back. It says it's ran by Jason Day. I don't know if that's
Yeah. We'll save that for another day. But you definitely made that person's day. I'm not entirely sure who runs it. It's anonymous.
Okay.
It's totally anonymous. No idea. But it's just we got a little tracker mania here at Ohio Northern. A couple golf accounts that just follow some golfers, whether it be the professional level or the collegiate level. But a couple of my teammates have some too. So, really all it is it's just following our season and kind of just tracking the golf.
Well, they wanted me to ask. They said a great talking point is how Aiden is feeling returning to his favorite college tournament venue at Nashville National, and they also wanted to know about how you're juggling school and being a member of the team. Yeah,
well, kind of already hit on the Nashville thing. It's just a lot of motivation to get back down there and turn things around from the freshman year. Wasn't my best showing. I think it actually may be my collegiate worst, but it's motivating me. So we're gonna improve upon that when we go back down there this spring. Balancing school and the team. we're trying. We're getting better at it every day, and luckily the fall season just wrapped up, so it's kind of all school, mixing a little bit of golf on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we work in that balance.
I also got a message from the Aidan Chandler Tracker 2023. They said that he would actually be a good person to talk to that has plenty of tales about you. So I'll save that for another day, but I'm definitely going to have to get in contact with him about all these stories that apparently they have. Obviously, you're a fan favorite there because, you know, you've got all these people DMing me wanting to be a part of your interview.
Yeah, definitely. If you're listening, you got to check out the tracker scene. It can we call it tracker madness here.
Oh, heck yeah. I love that. And I guess, like, here's a chance for you to give a shout out to anyone that may have helped you get where you are now, maybe took you under your wing, or just people that you want to, like, show appreciation to, that you're just thankful for, that may have helped you along the journey.
Yeah, I'd be remiss if I didn't start with my parents. Golf is a very expensive sport, and they've supported me both with clubs and, like, all the things, travel, hotels, whatever it may be. So they've been a huge supporter of me and pushing me towards my goals in the game. Secondly, I'd probably have to shout out, like, Dennis. Dennis has been
D-man.
Incredible. Yeah, I mean, he has just been so he's accommodated my desires to get better in the game as well, and he's really hooked me up and set me up at Ashlin Golf Club to really practice whenever I want. I mean, got to mix a little bit of work in there obviously too, but we pretty much can just go out there whenever we want and play golf, so that's huge in improving the game. Like my Lord and Savior too, Jesus Christ, and without him I wouldn't be here to play this game, so thankful for his sacrifice. All my teammates in high school, like, we all sort of pushed each other, and I don't think we would have been able to accomplish the things we did if it wasn't that group. So just the freak chance that we all were on the high school team at the same time and got to put something really special together over those 3 years. Yeah, I think that kind of hits. I think that I got to shout out Gary too. I mean,
I was gonna say, you also can't forget Courtney Burke and all the sacrifices that she's made for you, right?
Courtney is, like, basically my older sister at this point. Like, we've spent so much time together this summer and got super close. So definitely KRB, she's a legend.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, man, I will see you soon at this Cavs game. I'm definitely going to have to make sure I'm in attendance for that one, too. We'll have to take, like, a little Ashlin courtside pick or something like that.
I'm so down.
Absolutely. I'll show you where things are, too, because this is my first season covering Cavs, and I went last night and I had to have somebody, like, kind of show me around, because it does get a little confusing, and, like, you don't want to be in the wrong place. You want to make sure that you're, like, following the crowd.
Yeah, I got screamed at one time because I was in the, like, media boxes on the court, and some guy was like, "You're not allowed to be here," and I was like, I flashed my credential, and he's like, "Oh, okay." But, like, and even, like, just walking around in the tunnels too, it can be.
It's a little intimidating. Confusing. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
At least I think so. I'm always like, oh, I don't want to get yelled at, but then you have to remember, like, I'm supposed to be here. Like, this is my job.
Exactly.
Everything will be fine. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck this season, especially down in Nashville. I know that you're gonna rock that.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yep. See ya.